first met Peter Skibsrud about 4 years ago. I was in my office and I heard somebody pacing outside, loudly complaining about nobody there to help him. So I went out, invited him in. We had a pretty good chat, and I didn't think too much about it. But Peter's one of those people, one of those colorful characters that most small towns have that you see everywhere, but you don't really always know everything about. So I wanted to try and see if I could learn a little more about him.
And Pete, what was this? This wasn't originally a house. What was it?
This used to be a worm farm.
Oh, okay, you're kidding me.
This building, yep.
Who ran it?
I don't know.
How did you get it?
We bought it shortly after my wife died in '05. It was probably '06. This a friend called me and said, are you interested in a fixer-upper? Hello?
Pete's house is a mishmash of different items like a lot of people's homes, but a lot of them seem kind of oddly disconnected, like there were different phases of his life that come together here. His parents were from Norway originally, and he was one of five boys, and his father was a preacher, something that he's maybe a little reluctant to talk about.
Yeah, it was, you're definitely held to a higher standard. In other words, I could do something that anybody else could do, and I got in trouble for it because I was the preacher's kid. I was supposed to be the example.
By high school, Pete found an escape for himself in his first love, music.
This is a little banjo ukulele that I picked up in high school when I was in Green Bay. I wanted a banjo, this thing showed up. And it's just fun. It's so portable. When I graduated from high school in Green Bay in 1963. And I've always loved music, and my high school teacher said Concordia College in Moorhead, Minnesota was one of the options. He said, if you get a chance to go there and study music, don't pass it up. For some reason, I was always fascinated with the banjo, and I advertised for a banjo in the paper in Green Bay, and an old guy called, and he had this. I've been working on the railroad all my live long day. I've been working on the railroad just to pass the time away.
That's cool.
Can't you hear the whistle blowing? Rise up so early in the morning.
It was while attending Concordia College that an incident happened that revealed a lot about Pete's personality.
I was very disappointed, and I started expressing my disappointment, and they got...
Who'd you go meet with?
Well, I met with I went and talked to the dean, who was a classmate of my dad, Dean Bowe. And I just told him, I says, this place sucks. And so they sicked the chaplain on me. And the chaplain lied to me, but he says, you need a night's rest. So I ended up in the hospital. So long story short, they put me in a locked room.
Needless to say, Pete dropped the program, and after a year stint in the Army, had a family and headed for Kalispell.
It's a 6970. We bought it new down in Salt Lake. Only new car I ever bought. But anyway, yeah, my wife and I came here in August of '73 in this little rig.
And once they got here, they built their own home.
Well, we were in it at about 6 months, but it was pretty primitive. There was no bank involved, so we could be primitive.
And projects continue to be a big part of Pete's life.
And I ended up actually trading a truck that I had for the teepee and teepee poles.
His biggest project remains buying a bridge. Part of it was made into this statue in front of the Linderman Education Center. There's my hand at the bottom of it.
And it was a stupid thing to do, but best PR stunt I ever pulled. As I recall, it was $15,000 for a 140-foot section of the bridge. My original plan was I would have liked to move it across the valley to up by the college to have a footbridge there. Well, when I bought the bridge, a committee surrounded me of just people, mostly rich people, and it became the Bridge Trail and Tunnel Project.
Wherever I went with Pete over the course of the few days I spent with him, he'd always stop and pick up trash wherever he was. He seems to take some of the negatives in his life and really wants to apply them to positive things in the community. For a little more insight, I visited Gil Jordan, the director at the museum at Central School, about Pete's volunteering there.
In your exploring this, I imagine you've run across the long list of people that Pete is on a regular conversational basis with. And they go all the way from, just common ordinary friends and folks around the town, all the way up to the director of transportation for the state of Montana that helped him get an underpass put in that no one else could get done. Yeah. And I'm not saying Pete did it, but Pete was influential because he kept working on it and he kept talking to the guy and certainly was a part of making that very important project happen. And all the different people that he knows and talks to, that's another example. Every once in a while something happens here that we need some help on to get something done from the city or the county, and I don't have the influence to just call up and say, take care of this, will you? But Pete does. Pete just goes over and walks into their office and says, hey, the museum has a problem with this and they need that. And the next day it's done.
I guess in the final sum of things, I'm glad Pete's out there. Someone looking at the dark corners of our society and keeping the spirit of community alive.